This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 861, Christmas Crits, RuneScape's 2021 PVM meta. Do we feel the same way about Deathspore arrows? Have you worked those in anywhere, either of you?
Yes. They are part of the best in slot available rotation right now. At least mathematically, on a target that, you don't have to deal with mechanics on. So situationally, it may be challenging to use them.
Because they have to
because
they have to be swapped with Hydrix, right?
Well, they have to be stacked, and the issue with these is that you must time them. They require you to react to the cooldown of them while you're managing other things. So they add something else you really need to be thinking about in the middle of combat, which is a challenge to integrate into a rotation. Right. So quickly, when they activate, they add a stack to themselves. At 5 stacks, your next ability is free. When they are then go on a 60-second cooldown, and every time you activate them after that, it shortens the cooldown by 2 or 3 game ticks. What you can do with these is you can time it so that you have them proc 8 or 9 times. They activate every time you critically strike, which again, critically striking is important for a lot of these things. If you activate them with a ton of buffs, right? This is an expensive setup to use. You can activate them 8 or 9 times within 20 seconds, which is enough to say that you can activate these exactly once a minute if you use them for the last 20 to 22 seconds of every minute with the right setup.
And once again, based on what you said there, you got to keep that time in your head while doing everything else you do when you go PvMing.
What I've been doing with these is that we'll talk about this in another time, but Planted Feet perk makes you have a 38-second death swiftness. And the building to these with these is to every minute you activate your death swiftness for free. So assuming that you're in a place where you can stand still and just damage something for a minute, you get 100% free adrenaline every minute. The comparison is Hydrix bolts, which all of the same setup and buffs. Hydrix bolts will give you 122% adrenaline a minute on average. That's average proc chance with the full set of buffs and everything. Very high tier setup. Which is to say that these give you most of the benefit of Hydrix arrows, but you kind of have to time it and know when to use it. And so, but also you only need to activate them for 20 seconds a minute. So, like, the idea with these is that when you're not under a death swiftness, you pop on your Deathspore arrows to decrease the cooldown and then stack. And as soon as that proc activates, you then activate your death swiftness for free. And then you can swap back to Hydrix or something else, right? And so again, very expensive to use because you then require to have a 2-handed crossbow or just, some kind of crossbows in addition to the bow you're using with these. Which could just be a full set of tier 90s, right? This could be something that is less than 500 mil total, but still expensive.
So once again, we've gone from entry level with Emerald Bolts all the way to talking about 500 mil setups here in the span of a few minutes. And once again, this is the whole spectrum that we want to show here.
And you can do some interesting things with these where you're using 3 different ultimate abilities within the space of about 10 seconds. That puts out incredibly massive damage and then allows you to generate afterwards well over 600% adrenaline in the next 20 seconds. You can do some crazy adrenaline manipulation. I am. I'm doing this when I'm trying to do dummies and a lot of my solo content and raids. I've been using these.
All right.
I unlocked my Eldritch crossbow a couple of weeks ago. I had got enough money for it because I gotta die. Lovely. So I've been having a ton of fun. I'm just using a Noxious longbow for these because I don't have an SGB on that account, which is hilarious. But I've been going back and forth between an ECB and a Noxious longbow to stack these arrows up and actually use these at raids and places because it's really easy. Each one of the Yakimaru pools is about a minute. So I pre-stack Deathspore on the central pool and then we'll activate that and use these as the rotation there. It's an incredible amount of adrenaline that you can pump out if you can get an incendiary shot into Death Swift with a natural instinct on it and just generate you can generate over 100% adrenaline on average with a single greater ricochet.
Is anyone else doing
disgusting.
this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I've not seen anybody else using these anywhere. But they do, in terms of adrenaline gain per second, they are more efficient than Hydrix bolts.
I think the reason that you're not seeing people use them is because the fractured staff of Armadillo is in the game.
Yeah, people can put out more damage on magic.
What I'm getting here is that
I will say I think the reason the arrows aren't super popular is just that ECB is pretty good, and people like having it, and it's just like it's so difficult to manage how fast most bosses phase if you're, because obviously like you can't switch to your bow while your ECB spec is up.
No, and most places things are dying and moving, and you don't want to be under a death swiftness while you're doing this much damage. Like, it just actually doesn't make sense because you're not going to be under that death swiftness for very long.
So we basically got a case here of a monopsony where Tannis is one of the suppliers supplying mainly to Thaxi with these arrows.
Yeah, and I think that while the arrows are very competitive with Hydrix without factoring in an ECB, I think I'm not sure that it is if you factor in owning an ECB and a Saren Godbow EOF and a Darkbow EOF.
I mean, at that point, people are buying magic and doing more damage because the FSA is crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
So like, this is the people like me who just enjoy range. This is the I have fun new toys because I am still ranging things with the full knowledge that there are things out there that can do better. So
I think if you don't own an ECB and can't afford to get into the magic game, I think splintering arrows are very good.
Yeah, I mean, I will be using both of these arrows. I will be using Deathspore arrows for half of the second half of a minute to have them ready for Death Swiftness, and using Splintering arrows for the other half of the minute on my ult, because one, bow only, and two, that is potentially best damage. Like, that is going to out damage, I believe, camping Hydrix. Actually, it's more adrenaline gain and more damage, I believe, than camping Hydrix. Like, the ECB spec is gross, and SGB spec is gross, and like all these things that range is doing.
Eldritch Crossbow and Saren Godbow, by the way, if anybody was wondering what those mean.
Yeah, and plus, people are bringing an easy K-switch for range now, too, for Ingenuity.
Oh my god. You're kidding.
So, no, it's very good.
You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.